Hey guys, so in this video we're going to take a look at one of the coolest new game modes to come out of Fortnite Creative, Zone Wars. Before we get into it though, I know I never usually sell out, but I did just change my creator code to Jarian, so it's now much shorter and easier to put in and remember. If you want to support me and have been using my code, make sure to use my new one, code Jarian. Alright, that's enough of me selling out. Back to Zone Wars. Zone Wars are similar to Turtle Wars, but more so to emulate the endgame of scrims, where everyone is moving with zone, trying to kill each other and stay alive. If you've ever played a stacked lobby in scrims or seen a pro skirmish, you know how exciting and fun the endgame scenarios are. Wouldn't it be amazing if we could just practice endgames without having to do all the boring looting and fighting early and mid-game? Well, now we can with the new moving zones in Creative. The moving zone is a new device that was added recently called the music sequencer. As you can see, I have it on the ground and we can see the red visible storm. When you press the music sequencer, which happens when you jump on it or something else like a vehicle hits it, the zone moves out similar to an actual storm in game. It goes through builds, and for now is the closest we can get to the Battle Royale storm in Creative as possible. In order to make it auto start itself, which is an important part, so you don't have to step on it or anything like that when the game begins, you can do one of two methods. The first is from my friend Zero, who was one of the first people to create a moving zone in Creative. I'll leave a link to his socials in the description. His method is you put down two walls and a ramp, then you put a shopping cart on the ramp with the shopping cart's wheels facing down, so it will roll off and not trigger the sequencer more than once. Then put a trap so it looks something like this, and what happens is when the game starts, the shopping cart triggers the trap and the trap goes off, which will trigger the moving zone to start. The other method I saw is from Donnie SC, who is another Fortnite creative moving storm genius, but if you guys don't know who he is, he's the guy who you've probably seen on Reddit or Twitter who posts all the interesting Fortnite esports statistics, so make sure you go and follow his Twitter at the bare minimum. His method is you put an ATK next to the music sequencer and then throw a pinball flipper on top of it. Every time you start a game, the ATK will get launched onto the music sequencer and the moving zone will start. So if you're looking to build the basic storm zone map, you'll want to build it however big you want with any of the prefabs you desire. I just built a tiny little 5x5x2 map to show you how you can design it and the best settings for it. Behind the walls and player spawns are where I put the music sequencers, which is where the zones will spawn out of. Before I get into why I have them positioned like this, I'll just get into the specific settings that you want. Starting from the top, looping you want off. That just means when the zone goes to the end of its path, it won't start again automatically. You don't want it infinite or anything because you want just one slow moving zone to go back and forth, not endless or looping zones in the same direction. Tempo is how fast you can move the zones, so you can play with it anywhere from I think 1 to 180, with 1 being the slowest and 180 being the fastest. A good rule of thumb though is you don't want it anywhere past 60, as it's pretty much impossible to outrun. So I recommend anything from like 1 to 10, but obviously this is all up to you if you decide to make your own. Length is how long the moving zone goes, so for example 1 or normal would be 1 wood floor and 2 would be 2 wood floors and so on. And just an FYI, normal for any of these measurements is equivalent to 1. I'm not sure why Epic made normal equal to 1, but who knows. Width goes from 1/2 to 100, where 100 covers literally the entire width of the creative world, and then 1/2 is half of a floor in width. Each measurement of width is the width of a wall, similar to length, how it works for floors. So for a width of 1, that covers 1 wall, and 2 covers 2 walls. And height is literally the same thing, it just measures the height of a wall. So 1 would be 1 wall up, 2 would be 2 walls up, etc. Trigger type is trigger, as that seems to work the best. Zone visible in game you want on so people can see the direction and where the zone is. Trigger is always active. Direction is forward, and you'll be able to see exactly where it's going by the blue box that shows its path. But just realize that this is only when you're creating the map and not when you're in game. Also, the orientation and direction of the zone will change depending on where you are facing when you put down the music sequencer. So as you can see here, just make sure that you put it down in the right direction and the blue box will show where it goes. Last is damage, which you want to put on elimination. Reason for this is that there are other options like low, medium, and high, which people think makes it a ticking zone, but what you have to realize is that when you put it to medium damage and the zone hits you, it only damages you once. You can think of these moving zones as basically a wave of damage. It's not an actual storm with damage over time once you're in it. So unless you want a bunch of kids L dancing on you while hiding in this pseudo storm, you have to put it on elimination. Obviously this isn't realistic as you'll die on impact with the zone, but it's the best thing we can do right now until Epic actually moves a moving storm option. Make sure you set up the automatic start on all of the music sequencers and make the spawn pads for players and give them guns and all that other stuff before you begin. One last tip is that you can add zones that go back and forth by getting them to trigger each other. So if the zone gets sent out and hits another one, it will start the other moving zone. This way you can get the zones to move back and forth and left and right all at the same time. You can also put music sequencers high up or low down to have them not hit each other while moving together. So I have all the zones in the same setting, and you can see that they stop at this tiny 1x1 on the little map that I made. What I've seen people do is put damage volume traps inside, which are basically ticking damage storms. So the unfortunate part is that these are stationary and they don't move at all, but once you're inside you can make the settings where it does damage over time similar to an actual storm. The settings you should use are pretty much the same, so zone visible in-game and base visible in-game on. Zone width, depth, and height are just whatever works best for your map. Change damage type to damage over time instead of elimination though, as you want this to simulate when you're in the storm. Then make damage 10 and make damage tick rate 1 second. Lastly, just make sure there's no save team and shield damage is off because an actual storm doesn't do shield damage. This will simulate when the zone has fully closed in, like in late game scrims, and can actually help you guys practice heal offs. If you try to make ticking damage zones, which I've tried before and many people have, it's kind of just annoying because there's an insanely loud noise that goes off once you're standing near the zone, and of course it still only damages you once, so for right now you're better off using the insta-elim zone. So the map that I want to show off and that I've been really enjoying is also from Donnie. I will leave the code on the screen now and in the description of the video. So to play it, just go up to any featured rift in creative and put in the code. Donnie's map is a moving zone simulator along with a huge mountain in the middle. Basically everyone starts off in a little 2x2x1 with a blue AK, a blue shotgun, a blue AR, so you can choose between having a blue AR or a blue AK, and then a random weapon along with minis and a slurp. You get 100 ammo for the AR and then 30 shotgun shells. Donnie actually has an updated version of this with an SMG if you want to play that one, and I think instead of an ice map with an ice mountain, it's like a grass mountain. And I'll leave the link for that one in the description as well. But when you start the game, you'll hear a little ringing sound notifying you when to leave the box and when the storm comes in. Everyone has 500 of each mat, and basically the goal is to stay alive. Zones close in from behind you, and there's a zone way in front of you. Zones on the left and right will also slowly start to move in, with the right side zone moving much faster, so it kind of forces everyone to the left as you play. There's a lot of creative bugs right now, so unfortunately nobody can fix them, like not being able to shoot or like randomly shooting or not being able to see the zone. But when the zone in front of you reaches the far black wall, both zones will bounce backwards and move back to where you spawned. The zones will end up closing in because the side zones will meet a little in front of where you spawn, but I don't think you'll even make it that far with all the zones, everyone shooting at each other, and also having to get up and down the mountain with only 1500 mats total. For some reason, as I was the host, I was getting a ton of bugs, but like nobody else was, which was just weird. So like every game I couldn't shoot or jump, so I'm just going to show you guys highlights from the games I hosted. You guys are probably sick of me being a bot anyways, so I think this will be better if I just show subscriber highlights. Maybe I'll do this more in the future if you guys want, as I think it's kind of a cool way to give back. But overall, this is absolutely amazing practice for endgame, and it's really fun. Zone Wars is just isolated practice for endgames, which up until this point has been impossible to practice in any other way than customs, which are no longer available, Scrim discords, which are unreliable, or pop-up cups, which are an amazing practice. If you're looking to join Zone War discords, I'll leave a link to the Discord that I run that hosts Turtle Wars, Zone Wars, and other creative games. And then I'll leave a link to the Discord that Donnie runs that is solely focused on Storm Wars and has a ton of pro players in it. Some additional advice and things to know when playing and hosting Zone Wars are that when you're experiencing any glitches, like, you know, I mentioned them before, but I couldn't jump or shoot a lot of the time, just switch teams and that should solve it. A lot of the times the host gets all the bugs, so if one of your friends wants to host, just tell them to take the L. Also, you should try to wait for everyone to join the lobby before you go ahead and start the game, and if you bug out and spawn at Salty, just leave the match and join again. This is pretty much all you need to know on Zone Wars and how to make your own. If you guys enjoyed this video, please remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications. This video shoutouts go to XD Sensei, Doki, Sammy Bout Her Hammy, Jort, Voids, Mr. Kiru, Verds, Zenzis, Rio, Rajmi17, and Crazy JTP129, who all use my old code but will hopefully use my new code, Jarian, in the item shop. Keep sending me pics on Twitter and Insta if you want to be shouted out in a future video. Otherwise, that's it from me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.
Hey, look, I can use code Jarian in the Fortnite item shop. Can I get a girlfriend now? Please?